you should be excited, Sooner fans, because there's a lot of great players that could potentially be coming here. I want y'all to know that. So, Coop, let's talk about some of these kids. All right. I think the ones that jumped out to me the most that really got my attention, and this is why you're here. You want to know about these players that we're targeting. The McCullough brothers.
Yep.
Got the crystal ball on them. Mm-hmm. And I think, if you want me to be honest, those kids are going to be special. You got Day McCullough, who is a safety in the class of 2023, not part of the transfer portal, but he's with Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Wilt Fong gave him a Fong to Oklahoma. And I was like, that's interesting. Who is this kid? And I remember, a buddy of mine was like, do you know who this guy is? You know what's so special about him potentially going to Oklahoma? I was like, no, I don't know what you mean. Then I looked it up. He sent me a picture of it. Dason McCullough, the brother, at Indiana. Their dad, Dalen McCullough, was a coach at Indiana, but now he's at Notre Dame. And so he's actually out recruiting for Notre Dame. So I was like, why isn't he going to Notre Dame? Why aren't both of these following Pops to Notre Dame? Well, they have a relationship with Valai and Brandon Hall from the past and decided that they want to go do something else. And right now, Dason has been 100% crystal balled by multiple people to come to Oklahoma. What did you think about those guys?
I mean, you bring up Notre Dame, and so I just want to throw this out, is if you have ever talked about Stanford or Dame, Cal, anything like that in the same breath as Oklahoma when it comes to education, you need to stop, because that's one of the other reasons why he's not going there. And it's not that he's pulling a 1.0. It's the fact that like Notre Dame has a very, 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 very intense criteria. So Dason, 6'5", 230. I've talked about it on here quite a bit. When you got length and you can put bulk, again, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Schmidt and the OU football program's strength and conditioning cycle is a little bit more intense than Indiana. But they're from in that area. I mean, I guess it's Bloomington, South Bend, that whole area. Mm-hmm. But again, this is a guy who's going to have a little bit of PT under his belt. In Dason. 6'5", 230, and he's got eligibility left, right? So he was this past year. Daya, he's 6'1", 200 safety. He's got some juice in the wheels, and he is another one of those. I think he's the 311th candidate to play the cheetah position, safety rotation. And guys, if you are getting it twisted and think that Georgia's better than all of us because Georgia's got like 5 or 6 better players, that's not the truth. The reason why Georgia is doing what they're doing right now is because when guys leave to the sideline for subs, the same guys come right back out on the line. Yes. And so we saw it. Yes, they've got massive depth. We saw that last year when you pulled Nick Benito and Isaiah Thomas and Perry Winfrey off the field. Even underproductive as they were, there was nobody behind them that was in that same atmosphere. So same thing is, we've seen Billy Bowman get hurt a little bit. We've got other safety cats ready to go. You want to bring in athletes as much as possible. And when it comes time for it, Venables, Valai, Bates, Roof, if we're going to throw that one in there. These guys are all looking for football intelligence and football people. These guys, their daddy's a coach. They are football people. So that's another reason why I get jacked.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that part too. Is Pops is a coach, and so they have that football IQ. They've been trained to be a certain way, and Dason being at his side, like you said, 6'5", 2.25, well 230 right now listed, but in his recruiting profile 2.25. He's probably literally, he is a summer away from being a 250-pound edge rusher that's going to level folks at 6'5", and that's what he is. He's an edge. He's a rusher. I've watched some of his video. The dude can hit. The dude can run. The biggest problem you're going to run into with him is that it's going to take us about a year to get him to the size that he really wants to be at to be dominant in this league. especially coming from Indiana. Not saying that he couldn't, he doesn't have the size to play Big Ten football, because Big Ten football is more, pound, 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 grimy football. But the thing about it is that he's going to want to be bigger, especially playing these Southern teams and playing in the SEC. He's going to have to get bigger and stronger, and I expect it. But it's going to be probably about a year before we really get to see much of him, because when PJ Adebayo comes in there at that 6'4", 240 pounds immediately, and then over the summer he instantly gains 20 pounds and gets to 260 of like pure titanium muscle, he's literally going to walk in there and probably take a starting job. Adebayo is probably the player I'm most excited about coming into this.
And just so you know, for Dason, 48 total tackles this year, his freshman year, 4 sacks, right?
I love it.
He had 3 passes defended, and I don't see tackle for loss on here, but you got to figure he's got some TFLs. So, I mean,
and as a prospect, he was the 75th player in the country. That's huge, a top 100 player.
Yeah.
So for you Sooner fans that were concerned about what Brent Venables and them were doing, and Todd Bates not winning David Hicks and all of that stuff immediately, these are the type of players we were talking about that were coming. These are the type of players that are down the list that we heard that were coming down. You've seen that Clemson had, what was that, about 8 players that have hit the transfer portal? I've heard rumors on about 4 or 5 of them potentially coming here. Not that, that we're going to get all of them, but there's some good players in that list of players that are on the transfer portal. It's going to probably end up here from Clemson. I'm not going to give y'all names yet, though. I'll give y'all names in about 2 days. I got to make sure I confirm the finalist detail. I like to make sure that they hit their crystal ball so that my sources don't feel like I'm putting information out that I'm not supposed to. But I'm telling you now, the thing they did tell me I could say is there are some Clemson players that hit the portal and that are about to hit the portal that plan on coming here. So you're going to get that. But keep your eyes out. We'll have a video about that soon to talk more about it. But the brothers, I think, were probably the biggest pickup to me so far. All right, outside of that, let's look at some of these offers that we have given out. And we were talking about this. Let's see. All right, the known offer list that we have here at Oklahoma. We have 2 wide receivers just got offers from us. You had Dante Cephas over at Kent State. And then you had, Rara Thomas out of Mississippi State. Radarius Thomas, or Rara Thomas. He just got an offer. Let's talk about these wide receivers. Now, we just lost, 3 wide receivers? Theo Weiss, West, and Darby.
Mm-hmm.
We picked these 2 up. Oh, boy. The best part about picking these 2 up is that they've actually got production. Like, it's not one of those situations where you need to be concerned about getting guys, because they're lowly rated. They weren't rated very high. Like, have you seen the ratings on these 2?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so we saw Cephas earlier in the year when we played Kent State. We've
actually watched him play, guys. Y'all remember that?
Yeah. He had 4 catches for 50 yards. It was nothing spectacular, but I do believe that the game they played Washington the week before. And let's see here. Bear with me here as I pull that right back up. But I want to say that he had a pretty decent game. 6 catches, 105 yards against Washington. Looks like against Georgia, another 3 catches, 25. Against Ohio. Again, this is not anything crazy, but 13 catches, 246 yards and a touchdown. Miami of Ohio, 9 for a
Whoa. Did you just say that wasn't crazy? Go back. How much? 13 catches for what?
240. Not crazy, Ohio, but that is a productive day for any receiver anywhere.
That's productive. If you're taking advantage of the competition in front of you, that's productive.
Mm-hmm. You got to win battles. But again,
you got to win battles.
1, 2, 3 in 3 out of 4 weeks. He saw Washington, OU, and Georgia. So he's seen the competition.
And how did he do against Georgia?
Against us and Georgia is about the same. 3 for 25 and 4 for 50, but against Washington, 6 for 105.
Okay. So, the competition that keyed on him because he was the best receiver on the field, and they focused on getting the ball out of his hands, and you can't do anything if your quarterback's on the ground. But let's look at this. So, Dante Cephas was not a highly recruited guy, ranked at about 22,000, and he was a 3-star receiver, right? 6'1", 175. But Bob Prisbillo for Sooner Scoop made this point. Look at the production. 48 catches, 744 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He'll catch. He'll make it happen.
Yeah.
He'll do his thing. Ra Thomas. Now, I remember Ra played for Mississippi State in that Mike Leach offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's look at his ratings. Let's look at his rating real quick. I'm going to pull up his rating now. 3-star wide receiver, committed in 2001, 6'1", 185. So another 6'1" receiver. So another big-sized receiver. Look at his production. 44 catches for 626 yards, 7 touchdowns. How do you follow? Alabama.
14.2 average. 14.2 average. Led the team in receiving yards. There were several guys who had in the 400 range, but he was again he put up some numbers. It always looks looking at 5.5, 4, 5, 8, 6, 4 as far as receptions go. Seems pretty consistent. And again, we're not looking for a number one to come in here. We're looking for somebody who, when it's your turn, you catch the ball, because catching the damn ball was a little bit of an issue we had this year.
Right. And it's funny because Georgia didn't take players out of the portal this past season, and they offered Ra Thomas as soon as he hit the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you something. If they feel like they can leverage him, think about it in that way. I try to think about that when it comes to certain players we go after. I want to see what schools are also going after them. What other schools are taking advantage of the opportunity with them. And guess what? That usually tells you that a player has talent if certain schools are willing to stick their neck out and go after them. Because Nick Saban doesn't offer just anybody. He offers players that have talent that he feels like he has a chance of getting. He does offer a lot of players, but he still feels like he can get all of them. And he knows that you got to still play the numbers game, but he doesn't offer everybody. So if you hear about him offering a 3-star running back in your state, that running back probably needs to be offered by your big school, because he's probably going to end up being Josh Jacobs and be the starting running back for the Las Vegas Raiders, and who's rushing for almost 2,000 yards this season, which is the point. That's the things you got to keep in consideration whenever you see some of these players. So don't get too hung up on star ratings, Sooner fans. Don't get hung up on players based upon just that. Look at the production. Look at who else is also offering them and wanting to consider them for their team. Because you're going to get some small schools, but if a big school comes out of nowhere on these players, that's a big name. All right, defensive side is one that I really wanted to look at, was Braden Fisk. Did you check him out?
Yeah. So, Western Michigan, and if you've watched, Western Michigan is one of these teams that the Power 5 conference is always toss, always schedule up Western Michigan, and they always come, and it is a fight. But like I said, who likes length? This guy likes length. 6'5", 300 pounds. He has got 1 year of eligibility, but was it 27 and a half tackles for loss, 13 and a half sacks? He's done some things. And again, with 1 year of eligibility, it kind of makes me think that he's pretty much where he's at. But again, what did Dylan Gabriel have a big issue with this year? Was batted balls. You tell me it's a dude who's 6'5", and is pushing up the middle, is going to have a paw up. Again, the defensive line, we need to be able to rotate athletes who can win their assignment. And Braden Fisk, I'm excited to see if we can pull this one out.
Yeah, when I watched him play, as I watched you showing these highlights of him just now, you just see him just getting to the quarterback and wrecking havoc. So like going into this, take a gander at him. Look at him chasing, getting that tackle right there. Watch him go and just run past the quarterback and cause and wreak havoc. Force bad passes. You want a lineman, an edge, a tackle that's going to just make things difficult for the quarterback, for the opposing quarterbacks. And that's what he's the type of player to do that. He's the type of player that it looks like BV and them think that he can be something special on this defense, or at least add depth. Now, I always remember that too. Not all these players are going to start immediately, but you're going to get that depth. You got to have those extra players, like you said, rotating in and out. That's what makes Georgia great, is they're doing that. They can do extra guys over and over and over that can come into the game and not have to have any concerns about being tired or anything like that. So keep that in mind as well.
Yep.
Now, one last one really to look at is former Sooner that looks like he's definitely going to be coming back. You see that I just saw that Parker Thune threw out, either him or Brandon Drum threw out a crystal ball over at 24/7 for Austin Stogner making his valiant return to Oklahoma from South Carolina. So, yes, Austin was a grad transfer last year. He looks like he's going to be grad transferring again this year. I do expect that he'll be able to play this year. There's not a reason to tell me that he wouldn't, but it's fascinating to me that it looks like he is going to make his return to the team. What have you heard out there, Coop, in regards to Mr. Stogner?
So it seems like as long as I'm pretty sure that when he left, we had a little bit of bad luck with the tight ends and a little bit of injuries between Grant Calcaterra and Austin Stogner, guys who started their careers off on fire. And so Stogner, he left with Spencer to go out to South Carolina. Spencer's heading up to it's Nebraska. Is it Nebraska? Is it that's kind of one of the rumors, but he's heading out too. That all being said, that's something. But with all that being said, I really, really, really feel like, again, Austin Stogner, when he came in, this might be the next Mark Andrews. We had a run of guys between Calcaterra and him to where we thought that those guys were going to be the next Mark Andrews, and they were flashing. Stogner got that. I was either Baylor or Iowa State, but he had that just crazy tackle where he got hit right in the shin. It had a bone bruise, and then he got a staph infection. It was a bad thing. And so he followed, Rattler back over to South Carolina. He had pretty much more of the same when it came to production. And I got to think that he had a lot of good communication with folks, here back at OU. And the doors, somebody communicated that the doors were still open for him. And looking at his year, not super terrific this year. But again, his freshman year, he had 7 catches and 2 touchdowns. 2020, 26, 422 and 3 touchdowns. 14, 166 and 3 in the injury shortened year, and then 20. So the guy can catch touchdowns. He's a great red zone target. We're losing Braden Willis. I don't think that Parker is ever going to fulfill that. We do have the 2 young pups, and then another guy coming in, but none of these guys.
Is Parker still on the roster? Parker's gone, right?
I got to think that he is off the roster, non-transfer.
Yeah, after his incident, he's done. I forgot that he existed because of that. So Parker's gone.
Yeah. So, but again, Stogner, 6'5", 250. He's a guy with a lot of playing time, and if he can stay healthy, again, like I said, he's a good red zone target. If we can get a little Dylan Gabriel to trust the middle of the field a little bit better this year, that's he's a guy who can catch right down the middle.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the biggest thing is I just need Lebby to let him do that. I feel like Lebby was preventing him from it, but I'll digress in that conversation. There's a lot of players to look at. We've got a lot of players to talk about in the next few days. I'll have more videos. Yeah. We'll have more videos to kind of break down what our thoughts on the players. Coop's going to come in and give us the scoops of what he knows and what he's hearing about. And I'm definitely going to be putting together just individual videos around the players that I'm seeing as they hit the portal and ones that we're getting crystal balls on. So definitely jump on the channel. Thank y'all for tuning in here to Unfair Sports as usual. Thank you for pulling up with us. Please hit the like, the subscribe, as well as the bell notification. That way you can get notified of any of the videos that pop up down the line. Me and Coop will probably get back together on Wednesday and pop something out Thursday to talk about more players. I'm expecting some really big news on Wednesday to drop. And if that big news drops on Wednesday, I'll have an individual video just being excited. And then me and Coop will break down what it truly means for the Sooners on that movement if that news does populate. In-home visits is going on right now, so that things are going to get get crazy. I've already seen a whole bunch of pictures from players getting visits from the coaching staff, so they're flying all over the country going to see their players. And man, I know it's exhausting. I'm tired thinking about flying here, flying there, driving here. They're going everywhere. And so since they're dividing and conquering, be prepared to see a lot of updates of players and pictures of them with the coaches and stuff. So show them some love, hit that like button, hit the heart button for them. Let them know that we want to see them as a Sooner. And if you see any recruits you want to see, hop in the comments below, pop a name for us. We'll love to do a deep dive on the player, watch some film, and talk about them. So outside of that, thanks for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification. And we will chop it up with y'all in a couple of days. Peace.